on our awakening journey, we will seek healing, and we will go down many different roads and many different avenues seeking this elusive healing. We will seek out so many different modalities and techniques, and we will seek shamans and mystics and healers who will give our power away to have this elusive healing. We probably will go down the route of doing therapy or counseling or coaching, being with nature, doing your yoga, doing your mantras, doing your meditations, doing your plant medicine, doing your breath awareness, and I can keep going and going and going. But there will be a deepest healing. The greatest healing will actually come from remembering that we are truly eternal. Remembering who we truly are is going to be the deepest, most fulfilling healing we will receive. And that in itself will let go of all fear, because it's mainly fear that shuts down the immune system and causes us all sorts of ills. And when we don't know who we truly are, when we are playing the illusion of separation, that we are most of the time unwell, even if that's very subtle. We are not at ease, we are at dis-ease. So we're not in our full health, we're not in our full potential, we're not in our full power. This remembrance of who we truly are gives us permission. And when we allow ourselves permission to let go of the burdens, the limitations, the fears, the programs, the belief that's been holding us back. When we give ourselves permission to be in the flow, to be spontaneous, to do what our heart really wants to do, to speak how it wants to speak, then the magic happens. And that magic always is happening in this very now moment. Because in this very now moment is the present. And when we are in presence, in the present, that's where the gift is. The gift of it all. The gift of our healing. The gift of the freedom, the flow, the excitement, the love that we are, the bliss that we are at our fundamental core being as eternal beings. We are blissful beings. Comes forth. And many are always chasing this elusive presence, this now, this eternal being, but it's nowhere to be chased. It's actually right here, right now. It's the mind that causes this gap. And in the UK, if you've ever got on a train, especially in London, you'll hear this noise coming out of these speakers that always says something like this: mind the gap. And I think it's done on purpose. I think it's some sort of little programming technique that's put out there to play with us. But if you can use it in a positive, it's actually there for a remembrance, because it's the mind that's causing a gap. It's the mind that's causing this perceived gap, this perceived separation. It wants us in the gap. It wants us in the illusion of the mirrors and the mind games and the trickery. That's where the mind wants us. The divine soul, spirit, great mother is always in this moment right now, witnessing it all. She was never far away. Spirit is never far away. And one great way of actually remembering and actually seeing this for yourself is to say something in the mind. Maybe say, know thyself. Just in the mind, not out loud. And then question who is actually saying those words. And it's actually in witnessing that and observing inside of yourself that when you say those words, for an example, know thyself, and listen, then you can ask, where's that coming from? Who is saying those words inside? What's happening here? Who is witnessing, hearing that? And that's the eternal self. And these things are so simple. And it's like a lot of things I talk about are very simple to do. Very elusive, you know, because the mind's creating those labyrinth of mirrors and illusions and playing with us all the time. But it is very simple. And it's a matter of persistence and consistency of doing it that actually will allow us to open up to the possibility that actually that is the soul, spirit, divine mother that's talking with us at all times. Yes, it's simple, but it's very, very difficult at the same time. And that's the mind causing a difficulty. Whether it's actually possible to completely stop the mind thinking, I don't know. I've only achieved that on high doses of psychedelics, mainly mushrooms, that it could completely shut itself down and no thinking whatsoever, and then the bliss comes forward. There's been occasional moments and glimpses with breath awareness and meditation, maybe into a few minutes or so of having that. But I know it's there and it can be done, and many do talk about it. And again, it's just persistence and consistency and that attitude of I'll never give up. I will find this within me. Because the search was never out there. It never was. It's always internal. It's always within here, in the centered heart space of what we truly are. The Atman, the Brahman, the you, the self, the divine, the soul, the spirit, God. All these words, source, universe, all these words that we have to try and describe something that's unnameable and undescribable. And that's why it comes back to witnessing it, and come back to observing it and just seeing for yourself like that's what it is. Because you can't name it, you can't use English language, when you can't use any language to describe what it is, because it's undescribable. So we do have to do this work. And a lot of people don't like the word work. I don't like the word work. I don't like it. But it's something that we'll use to say that's what we got to do. Try and have a bit of fun with it. Try and not take it too seriously, as usual. Just be quiet and sitting with ourselves. And again, a lot of people find it difficult. And a lot of people don't want to do this internal work. You know, people want to jump on and watch the next video, and you know that'll be the one that will enlighten me. That bit of information, next one, you know, the next one, or it'll keep going around and around, and before we actually realise that, yeah, shit, I got to actually do this. I'm the one that's actually got to do this. So, and if you're one of those people that undertakes the internal work, sort of, much respect. Because I know how difficult it is, and you know how difficult it is. But in going forward with the work, it's like you're doing the magic. You're doing what it is that I would say we're here to do. Protecting our consciousness. You know? And it's not like protecting coming from a place of fear, like, oh, we've got to protect it. But it's like being aware of protecting your consciousness. Not putting yourself in situations that may cause upset or distress if you can help it. Put yourself in situations where you might be consuming things you don't want to consume. That includes anything visual, including food and whatever else. And we have to take a stand. And if we are in those positions, we have to take a stand and be in our power and say, do I want to consume that? Do I want to have that in my consciousness? Oh, I want to protect my consciousness. I want to open up and remember who I truly am. I want this deepest healing. I want that. I want the remembrance of the true self. So we have to watch for the mind, creating this gap, separation with these mirrors. And when the mind comes in, it's always going to cause sensations in the body, and then we're going to give those sensations meaning. And we've gave those sensations meaning from a long, long past time. And those will be there as the mind comes in, doing its duality play, past or future. And we have to get centered and come back to the present moment with the breath and remember, here it is right now. Because as the mind does the duality past and future and causes sensations inside of us, it's just causing the separation. And that's what it wants. It wants separation. It wants destruction. That's why you can't listen to the mind in those ways. When it comes in, doing its thing. You have to be the one in control. You have to control the mind. You have to learn that. And yeah, it's difficult. But again, it's simple. It's as simple as sitting there, watching those thoughts and not reacting to them. And people say, well, how not to react to them? Well, we drop the programs and we drop the beliefs, the attachments, the perceptions. And it takes time. People say, I haven't got time. But we're eternal. We have all the time to play with this. Time is just the illusion. Time is Chronos. Time is Saturn. And another word for Saturn is Satan. It's time that plays with us. It's time that causes the mind to play with us in the duality, separation, past, present games that we have to pull ourselves back out of at all times and catch ourselves being pulled into those consciousness streams. And yeah, it is difficult, but it's doable. I know it's doable because I've seen it. I've witnessed it, I've watched it, and I can do it. All the time? No. Most of the time? Yes. Does it take a lot of practice? Yes. I've watched many, many other people come out of their mind spiraling illusions and come back to the present moment and stand in their power more often than not. I've witnessed it in others. It can be done. And it's being done in more numbers now. There's an energy coming through. There's Divine Mother awakening through us. The spirit, the soul is awakening again. This is the whole awakening. This is why there is plays and shows and games on the external through the internet, the television, the media, the news, trying to gather your attention to keep you away from the self, to keep you away from this present moment, to stop you remembering who you truly are, where your power lies. They're always playing with you. Best to not look at that anymore. Best to move away from that. Sure, you might want to go and have a little dabble just to check what's going on. Do I need to make a move here? Do I need to make a move there? Shall I navigate around the system, the matrix? How should I do that? And ultimately, all the answers was within you anyway. Maybe you didn't even need to check what's going on there or see what games may be being pulled there. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's just totally intuition and trust that's what's needed to carry you forth on your journey as we go forward, as we play this game. And as we come out of this game of duality back to our center. As we stop playing the games of we live on a planet. We don't live on a planet, we live on a plant. We live on a tree. And as we come out of the game of playing the game of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the past, the present, the future, the now, this, that, all of it, and we just center and breathe in this very moment. Because even the word now and present and moment implies time, implies Satan, implies Saturn, implies a game. But it's the best we've got to express this in English language, to use English language, to come out of English language. So as we stop playing on the tree of good and evil, the tree of knowledge, we come back to the center, Divine Mother, which is the tree of life. Because everything's tree. Great Mother is tree. We are walking, talking trees. We may not look like it now because of what's happened. We've become in this form now. We're doing this form for this moment, what we call human, but we're not actually human. We've forgotten that we are the plants. We are the trees. We are nature. We are Mother Divine itself. And as we remember who we are, the eternal Divine Mother, Spirit, Soul, and that we actually are the tree itself. She is waiting for you to come back to her. In the stillness, in the presence, in the present, where the gift is, where she sits and awaits your return. Much love.